Hi, I'm Dana. I've got this bug bite on my arm that's really itchy and gross looking, and I've got this large pile of laundry to put away. Like, this is, like, look at it, I'm sat down and it's up to here. Like, this is the height of a small child, so we need to actually do this. I'm gonna get straight into it. Not really sure what we're talking about for this one. Never really am. I just start talking and then something comes out and I'm like, oh, that's the video, huh? I've gotten back into reading lately. I've made some videos about reading specifically. I thought for a really long time I didn't really particularly like reading. Like, I love me a TV show, I quite enjoy a movie, and if I don't have access to either, I will read a book. Because as a kid, I was like known to be like the bookworm. I was the voracious reader. I finished my school's library, but it was very much like I didn't have anything else to do, you know? Like, a lot of the time it was my brother that was choosing what we watched on the TV and I didn't want to watch what he was watching. Even when I did eventually get my own TV in my room, my mum would like very rarely let me just like, you know, if I was watching stuff and she went past and then she came past a while later, she'd be like, why are you still watching stuff? Why are you not doing something? Whereas if I was reading a book, that's a like productive way to spend your time, so she wouldn't say anything. And obviously in school, I couldn't like take my laptop and watch a show, but I could just take a book and read that. So I thought I was just sort of like doing what was necessary kind of thing. And then like in my like adult life, I've had periods where I've like really enjoyed reading, but most of the time I just haven't really read all that much. And like I say, I thought it was just because like I'm an adult and I can watch shows and movies and whatever else I fancy as and when I fancy now. Like, no one's going to tell me off for it and tell me that I need to be doing something productive or something else or whatever. But honestly, I think I just got way too caught up in like, I'm an adult now, so I need to be reading like growing up adult books. And that sucks. Like, that's fucking lame. I mean, it's not. If you enjoy like, that's what I mean though, is it's lame for me. Because I'm very much like, if I'm going to do something that isn't like, you know, work, like if it's not some, like, if it's not work or like general self-care, like, not even in the way of like face mask and painting my nails, but in the way of like making sure I have food in and cooking for myself and cleaning up after myself and stuff like that, you know? Like, there's some stuff as an adult that I have to do. So if that's going to be the case, the stuff that I don't have to do, I want to be fun, you know? Like, the hobbies and the things that I'm choosing to like engage with in my spare time should be things that I actively enjoy. And reading like adult fiction or non-fiction just is not enjoyable to me. Like, there's the occasional time, like, I like a good autobiography to the point where I forget that that's technically non-fiction. But I don't really like an educational book, to be honest with you. And I know that it's, like, seen as, like, a sign of intelligence if you enjoy reading, and it's seen as, like, you're smart if you read, like, the adult non-fiction books versus, like, just reading fiction. And it's a whole thing, and there's lots of perceptions about it. And I've decided that I just don't care. And I'm tired of giving into it and trying to read classics and trying to read fucking A Brief History of Time and Space. Which I probably am going to get back to at some point because I do like the sciencey aspect of things and I like the idea of having read it. But it's like, that. I like the idea of being someone that has read it and knowing the things that are in it. I'm not actually in any way enjoying reading it. Whereas my friend lent me a book called Nice Girls Don't Have Fangs by Molly Harper. And I'm on the third one. While I'm editing this, I'm now partway through book 9, and that's if we don't count the little like spin-off books that are like 4.5, 4.6, you know? I had them send me PDFs until I can go and borrow the physical copies because I was like, I need to read these books. And I haven't felt like that since I read The Hunger Games as a teenager. And that makes me think, perhaps it's not that, like, as a teenager I had to read The Hunger Games before because I was bored. Perhaps it was that I really enjoy books like The Hunger Games, so I really enjoyed reading that. And then I got a bit older and was like, I have to read, like, real growing up adult books now instead of The Hunger Games and Twilight and House of Night. You know, I was a big, like, John Green, Rainbow Rowell, that kind of, like, very, like, internet young adult fiction kind of person. So I'm reading, like, the ones that I'm reading are technically, like, the, what are they called? The Half Moon Hollow series. And it's basically this girl, Jane Jameson, is a librarian and just sort of trying to live her life with a crappy family and just get by. And then she gets fired. So she goes out for, like, not only does she get fired, she doesn't even get a severance packet. So, like, she gets a fucking coupon to a local place. not entirely sure how I was. So yeah, so then she gets turned into a vampire, and obviously just like chaos ensues, and it's right. Whole new discussion now. I think we've done this discussion when it comes to movies. I love trash, and I don't even mean it as like I enjoy things are bad. Like, I think it's good. I just think it's trash at the same time, you know? It's kind of, it's aimed towards women, and that gets portrayed in like social circles and the like as trash, you know, in the same way that we did with Twilight and One Direction and everything else. So anything that's like really obviously aimed directly at women and nobody else, I'm like, it's trash. And I've just decided that that's actually a really nice positive term, and it's just a descriptor for what it is. And I've just now considered that other people's brains haven't done that, and I've just made that up for myself. So as much as I am like, it's cringy, sort of cheesy, sort of very like cliche trash, I mean it in an entirely positive way. Not even like an ironic way or like a guilty pleasure way, like I mean it positively. But yeah, I've literally read like each one in less than a day kind of thing. Like I read the first one in a day, and then I took like a little day off and started watching Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which is my new favourite show because there's musical numbers in it. I love that shit. And then I got right back to it and read all of the second one and some of the third one yesterday, and I'm like 80% of the way through the third one. And then, even better, it turns out the first 4 are all about Jane, and then the next ones are like, I've had this all described to me by my friend, because I was like, I'm going to take a break between the 4th one and the spin-off so I can read Interview with the Vampire, because that's like my next thing I want to read. And then my friend was like, oh no, because I explained that I don't like spin-offs, but I do, but I don't. So like, if it's things like Torchwood, I'm super down, because I already like sort of like knew Jack, so I was like, this is fine because we know who Captain Jack is, so he's comfortable and safe, and this is just a spin-off. But when like I watched the What We Do in the Shadows movie, and I was like, this is going to be my favourite new thing, and then I watched the TV show and I was like, who the fuck are these people? These are just strangers, this isn't comfortable, I don't like this. So even though I'm like a massive fan of What We Do in the Shadows now, I literally didn't watch it for like 3 years because I was just like, they're not Viago and Vladislav, like they're just not Viago and Vlad, like I don't care about these people, I don't want them. Whereas with the Half Moon Hollow spin-offs, they aren't like, here's a different character in the town like I thought I was being described. It's like other characters that you've already interacted with through the main series. So that, I mean, it makes me actually really excited. Because one of the things I'm enjoying about these books is that it's like really strong characterization, and like I kind of was hoping for like just pure sappy vampire romance, you know, just filled with cliches and cheesiness and gothic shite. And instead what I've gotten is this really beautifully characterised, like full of personality, definitely like neurodivergent autistic main character girl who has this like group of friends around her and group of people that she hangs out with that are so beautifully characterised, and like they're all so different but they're all so sweet, and they're all, like it's really built a whole little community of people that I really love, and I'm like, no, I absolutely do want more of these characters even if Jane's not in the picture for it. So now I think that I might just steam through the whole lot and then read the vampire, Interview with the Vampire. But I also, like, I watched the TV show of Interview with the Vampire, so I felt attached to the characters, and I really want more of Louis and Lestat. And I don't know, I'm the kind of person that can read 2 books at once anymore. I used to, I don't know if I can now, and I'm kind of tempted to give it a go. I also have another book that my friend lent me about a girl that like tries to make a bargain with a demon or something like that, so that she can like live forever, but something, I don't really remember what the description was, but I remember being like, oh my god, this sounds great, please let me borrow that book. So I have, so it's just sat there and I really want to read it, but I really want to read these other books too, and I also really want to watch my show. And I'm making it sound like I'm kind of stressed, but this is me at like my peak enjoyment, honestly. Like I've just been consuming things and really indulging in the enjoyment of that consumption, and I feel like that's something that I really haven't allowed myself to do since like my teen years. And now that I've thought about it in the way that I am, it's very obvious that it's because my fucking horrible abusive ex was always a complete fucking asshole whenever I like really enjoyed things and got into things and showed excitement and got like really absorbed in stuff, it just annoyed him because I'd be forgetting to like cook his dinner or wash his clothes or clean his dishes or, you know, like whatever else. And I'd forget to do that stuff because I'd be absorbed in something that I was actually enjoying and made me feel like I didn't want to just cry all the time, and that pissed him off. So I wasn't allowed to like indulge in the way that I am again now. And I didn't realise how much I missed it. I didn't realise how much joy it brings me. I didn't realise how much more like natural and like myself it makes me feel to be excited about things. Because I also watched One Night, which is a new Australian drama that's come out. I think it's a limited series, but it's got that cute little one from Orange is the New Black in it, the one that had like the little accent and made up her boyfriend, I think. But the main star for me was, of course, the fact that Jodie Whittaker is a lesbian in it. And she is beautiful and she's tatted and she's a MILF and she's got a wife and she kisses her wife. And we saw Jodie Whittaker kiss a lady multiple times on the mouth like a lesbian, like she's a lesbian because she was playing a lesbian. Jodie Whittaker. That being said, it was actually a very deep series that was tackling like sexual assault and adult friendship and like it was really rather heavy, and Jodie Whittaker's character had a lot of issues that I actually found rather triggering. And honestly, if I'd read what it was about, I might have waited for a different time to watch it because it did make me feel horrendous. But it was also like very, very good, and it's the type of show that's like heavy because it's impactful, you know? Like it needed to be, but I maybe didn't need to see it at that exact moment. But I also, like, that makes it sound like I'm really not doing well, and I'm actually doing pretty alright. It was just that it was Jodie. Like, if it had been any other character in it going through those things, I would have just been like, I feel yeah. But because it was Jodie, I was like, she's going through so much, she's such a disaster, and I feel so much empathy for her, and I just want her to be okay. And yeah, like, it made me feel things. It also made me be like, should I, like, look for a job in Australia? Because like there's loads of those programs, isn't there, where you can like sign up and then you move to Australia and have a job. And I was like, I can't even get a job in the UK. Why the fuck would I think anyone's gonna put me up in Australia and give me a job there? Like, hello, I'm Dana, I'm like really socially inept, and also now that I'm in Australia I'm way too fucking hot. Give me a job. Like, it's been a bit warm and sunny here the last couple of days, like in like England, you know, like UK warm and sunny, and I've been like, I'm sweaty, I'm too hot, I smell bad, don't come near me. Imagine me in Australia for like living, you know? Like I'd be fine for a little holiday where I can just be like, I'm too hot, I'm going into this like cafe and cooling down, or like sitting on the beach, you know? Having to like live an actual life and like do my laundry and cook in that heat, no. But I did have like a whole minute where I was like, I should apply to a programme. Are they called programmes? I shouldn't. I don't even know what they're called. I was going to say this is how people get into cults, but it's not how people get into cults. And honestly, if it was, I would do it. I think I'd work really well in a cult, honestly. I've had this discussion with so many friends now because I'm fully like, I want to live in a commune. Like, not necessarily a commune, but like a communal living situation where we can all like help each other out and have community without it having to be romantic partners. That's a good no, that's a whole different video. I'm going to make a whole video at some point about how strange I think it is that we hinge so much on like the romantic relationships in our lives, and the fact that we think we're gonna like, not that we think we're going to, but like that there's a pressure that that's what you do, and you like age with one person and grow old with one person. And like I know that people still have friends and like outside people to those relationships, but like there is still like some degree of the idea of like spinsters, and like you have to eventually be in a relationship, and it weirds me out a bit because lately I've been feeling much more fulfilled by my friendships than I have by any relationship. And I've been in 2 romantic relationships, and one was really, really abusive and horrible, and one was a bit toxic and unhealthy. So I'm not the best judge for it, I'll give. But within both those relationships, I really struggled to make friends. You know, with my first ex, it was because he was an asshole to any of my friends that I did make, or he'd encourage me to be an asshole to them and be like, but they did this, this and this, and they said this, so you should do this. And I was so like abused under his wing that I'd be like, yeah, I will, because you said that's the best thing to do and you're older than me and you know better. Or they were like assholes that he introduced me to, that he wanted me to be friends with. That I was like, no. And then my other ex had a whole thing where I just wasn't... See, she made a whole thing of like, it's just a boundary. It's not that you're not allowed. But I also wasn't able to speak to like, to befriend anybody that she knew to any degree without it upsetting her and being a massive issue. Which I would say means that I wasn't allowed to talk to people that she knew. And she put it across as like she just didn't want me befriending her close friends, but she also seemed to consider even like distant acquaintances to be best friends. So I just didn't really know anybody to make friends with, because everybody I met was through her, and then she'd be like, why are you making friends with all my friends? And it's like, because I'm meeting people and they're nice. So I'll give that we've got the combination of like, it's my first time in my adult life that I'm single, it's the first time in my adult life that I have friends. So like there's a few things coming together for it, I'll give. You know, I've known a lot of people in relationships. I've talked about my relationship to other people that were in relationships, and I stayed in my horrible abusive relationship for a long time because it sounded pretty similar to what a lot of people have in relationships. You know, it didn't sound all that dissimilar to just how people expect a man to be. But the point was that I'm just feeling increasingly like fulfilled and good, and like I'm getting everything I need like as a person essentially from the friendships in my life, you know? Like the other day one of my friends had said that they were feeling a little bit depressy, and then the next day they'd mentioned a snack that they wanted, and I was like, if they were my partner, like if this was a situation with my ex, I absolutely would have gone out and got another snack and been like, here you go. And I love doing little things like that for people. I love just doing like really small little things where it's like, this hasn't really like, you know, affected me in any way. I haven't really gone out of my way. I haven't really put much effort in. I was going to go for a walk anyway. I thought I was going to get them the snack they fancied and just leave it on their doorstep. What actually happened was I couldn't find the fucking snack that they wanted. So I like just got them a selection of other like similar types of snack. And then when I went to leave it on the doorstep, they were cleaning their window, so they immediately saw me on their driveway, and I was like, oh my god, I'm a stalker, I should run away. And then I was like, I'm my friend, and it's not that weird for me to drop by and be like, oh, you said you weren't feeling great, here's a little treat. So I did, and it was lovely. And I felt way better about it than I ever did when I did things like that for my ex. Because, like, my friend appreciated it and seemed to, like, you know, like me as a person. But I had this, like, whole realisation when I was walking home where I was like, oh, all of the things that I miss about relationships are things that I can just have with my friends, you know? And I know that's not the case for everybody. I know that some people really want sex, but I don't really care that much, honestly. I can take it or leave it a lot of the time. But like all of the things, like I really enjoy just doing little things for people. I'm like, I've made someone else's day better, and now I feel like good about myself and good that I like feel nice, and like I've made someone's day better and I feel good about them feeling better, and like it's just a nice thing to do that's very small, you know? I like to do little things like that. But it's often to me felt like it's only an appropriate thing to do for somebody that like you're in love with. And it was really nice realisation to be like, no, I can just do like little things like that for friends. And these are the types of friends where like they're similar to me, like they're people that are like me and think in the way that I do for the most part. And that means that like I can do little things for them like that, and they don't find it weird or think I'm a freak or whatever like people have seemed to in the past. And like I've got another friend that's been very clear that when it gets a little bit colder and we're not both like sweating and wanting to die, we will cuddle while we watch movies and TV shows, and it's gonna be fucking great. And like that was by far my favourite part of both relationships I was in, was just cuddling and watching things and feeling cosy, you know? And honestly, I feel like reading these like slightly trashy romancy kind of books, even though there's not a lot of romance, because like I said, they're really focused on like plot and characterisation in a way that I'm really enjoying. But it's also like the validation of like reading these romantic scenarios and making me like all like giggly and like a little foot kicky, you know, like very like teenage girl. That's what I'm enjoying about it. It just feels like really fun and nice to read. I've never had those situations in real life, you know? And it's very much a case of like, if I'm gonna put the time and effort and everything else into like any sort of relationship, it definitely should be making me feel like that. And I was in relationships with people that like made me feel like that's just not real, and like nobody ever feels like that, and that's not true. But again, I will also argue that it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship to have that. Like, my friend that lives in the city centre, I get way more excited to see them than I ever did going to see, like, my ex, you know? And I think, as well, thinking on it now, it's also, like, the thing of, like, they're the found family, you know? Like, in the past, when I've had friends, I had a family, and as much as it was, like, these are my found family and that, like, they understand me in a way my family don't and blah, 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 I did still have my family. Whereas now I don't. It is just me and whoever I decide is my family, essentially. So as much as, like, they are just friendships, they feel like a bit more than that, you know? And especially because they're people that, like, understand that and are, like, vocal in understanding that and in understanding me in a way that is very delightful and lovely. I think one of the other big things for me as well is friendships. I've realised that sort of the sign of a friend having become, like, the found family friend, like, this is my person, like, I trust this person completely, like, this is someone who makes me feel, like, really fulfilled and that I really enjoy having in my life, is when you can start doing the, like, after text. You know, like, when you've hung out and you've gotten home, and, like, sometimes it's the, like, oh, I've gotten home, thank you for a lovely day, and other times it's just the, like, you know, if I've left at, like, 5 p.m. and it's daylight, I'm not going to text them to be like, I got home safe, but I will text and be like, I had a really nice time. Thank you for inviting me out. Thank you for, like, coming when I invited you, whatever it is. I really genuinely enjoyed your company, your presence, and it was lovely. Because that's number one, true. Like, I'm not sending that kind of message for someone that I did not genuinely, like, really enjoy hanging out with. And although it is one of those things where it's like, the person will do it back if they enjoyed it, it's not about that. Like, I would be completely fine if they were just like, yeah, it was nice, you know, like, I don't need a whole, like, big reply back, but it's that level of comfort. Like, I think it's a vulnerability thing for me, actually. I think that that's me, like I don't like talking about feelings very much, and when I do, I feel quite uncomfortable. Like, I will talk about, like, such and such has annoyed me, this thing annoyed me, and this other thing annoyed me, and I'm pissed off about this. And I'll listen to, like, anyone talk about anything, but I very rarely talk about, like, things that are actually, like, impactfully emotional to me. You know, I talk about very, like, the surface level emotions. So for me to be like, I really enjoyed spending time with you, I like you as a person, kind of thing, that feels very vulnerable, and it feels like a big admission for me, even though I know it's not. It's the kind of thing people tell each other every single day. And especially between friends. I don't know, I've still been on, like, the dating apps and, like, talking to the occasional person. I haven't been on any more dates. I'll, like, probably do another get ready with me when I do. And, like, it's a when I do. But I just, like, it's very much about, like, having the fun and meeting a person versus, like, looking for a relationship for me at the minute, you know? Like, I'd take it. Like I've said before, I'm definitely a romance bitch, and if someone came along and I was like, this seems like it could be good, I would go for it. But I also, like, don't feel like I need it. I don't feel like I'm searching for it, you know? Like, I might want it, but I'm not like, I need it now, you know? It's just the thing that it's like, that would be nice at some point, because I think that's what people deserve. I'd like someone that makes me feel nice to be me. We're left with socks and underwear. And as always, don't want to show you me on... I keep looking at the fucking computer. Have I been doing that the whole time? I hope I haven't. But as always, I don't want to show you my underwear, and I think that's completely valid and fair, because it's me that gets to decide what I show on the internet, obviously. And I very rarely think about what's coming out of my mouth, so at the very least I cannot show you my undies. So please do like and subscribe if you'd like to. I post on Thursdays and Sundays, unless it's just, like, random crap I feel like posting, in which case it's just any other day that isn't a Sunday or Thursday. I post almost daily on I post daily on TikTok at the minute, and I also occasionally post on Instagram and Twitter if you want to join me over on any of those. You can also become a YouTube member or a Patreon member, or donate to me on Ko-fi if you wanted to, but you don't have to, it's all chill. But most importantly for now, I guess, whoever you are, wherever you are, having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I will see you again in a couple of days.